first. I'm going to introduce all three of our women first, and then I'm going to ask each to respond to a specific set of questions. I know you're going to enjoy hearing about what they do, how they do this, and why we all benefit. And please understand that sometimes what they do is quite complicated, and even I don't fully understand what they do, but I know you will enjoy hearing from them. So, Kaplan is CEO of Orgenesis, a global biotech company working to unlock the full potential of cell and gene therapies in an affordable and accessible format at the point of care. Prior to Orgenesis, Vered was the CEO of Kamidas, a company focused on utilizing plants extracts for dermatology purposes. From 2004 to 2007, Vered was CEO of Gamacon, a company focused on the use of immunoglobulins to treat cancer. During the previous 5 years, Vered has been a director of numerous companies in the biotech industry, among them InMotion Ltd. And Nephora Ltd. Vered has a master's in science in biomedical engineering from Tel Aviv University and a bachelor's of science in mechanical engineering from the Technion, Israel's Institute of Technology. Carly Furman is the force behind Nayax transformation into a leading provider of cashless payment solutions in North America. I like to fondly say, if you were at the airport and you go take your credit card and buy something, think of Nayax, the Israeli company in Maryland. But Carly oversees and she's CEO of Nayax LLC and oversees all operations in North America since 2016. As head of Nayax in the Western Hemisphere, Carly has been responsible for growing Nayax American customer base to over 15,000 unattended merchants, scaling the North America branch to the largest at Nayax. Before locating to Hunt Valley, Maryland in 2016 to establish the US headquarters, Carly worked at Nayax's Research and Development Institute in Israel, where she was the chief financial officer of all of Nayax subsidiary companies. Carly was highly involved in taking Nayax public on both the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange in 2021 and recently the NASDAQ in 2022. In 2021, Carly won the 40 Under the Age of 40 award from Automotion Merchandiser, and she has a BA in economics with an emphasis on accounting from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and she's also a CPA. And she's a wife, mother, and she's a wife and mother of 2 daughters, 2 young. Is vice president of Elta America. She's vice president of finance and the chief financial officer, and they're located in Howard County, Maryland. Jennifer has 30 years space and manufacturing operations. Went into this role in 2020, and she leads all aspects of Elta North America's financial strategy, performance reporting, long-term business operations, as well as treasury, accounting, and audit operations. Jennifer previously served as Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer for Comtech Mission Critical Technologies, where she was responsible for all financial and accounting functions for the business's government sector. As co-founder of McClure, Brown and Associates, Jennifer also served as Chief Financial Officer, which developed a revolutionary technology that monitors and analyzes indicators of human cognition from various media sources to forecast behavior. She serves on the Yachad Oakland Mills Jewish School Board, and her MBA in finance and marketing are from Mount St. Mary's University. So you can see how impressive these women are. Okay, so we're going to start now. The question is, and we'll have Vera respond, then Carly, and then Jennifer. Can you briefly tell us about your company, the products it serves, your role in the company?
Thank you. Yes, I'm just thinking maybe I'll share a quick presentation if that's okay with you. Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Very much a pleasure. And it's always fun to speak to a lot of women because I usually find myself speaking to a lot of men. So I'm the founder of the company, founded it 11 years ago. It's a NASDAQ traded company. My role is CEO, which basically means I get all the complaints to summarize, and I'm sure the other ladies here know all about that. And I do utilize a lot my background in engineering. This is just a slide that I have to put up. And just to quickly tell you what the company does, it deals in a very interesting field in healthcare. It's actually, I would say, the latest stage in biotechnology, and it utilizes the ability to use cells from your own body as a way to provide a drug. And this is done by genetically modifying cells that are taken from the patient's body and then put back into the patient. The company is active in 15 countries, and we are, I think, very much considered the experts in this field. When I started the company 11 years ago, or even 12, there were barely 5 products in clinical development. Today, there's thousands of products, and they are, and some of them are already approved and given to patients. One of the And the way this works, for instance, if you have a cancer patient, you take out his immune cells. Typically, cancer cells know how to evade the immune system. The immune system does not recognize them. So you take out the immune cells, you modify them, you reprogram them in a way where they can now identify the cancer cell. You grow a lot of these, you package it, and you infuse it back into that same patient. These are very exciting drugs. The latest drugs approved, for instance, for leukemia, lymphoma. They have, even for me that I've dealt in cancer most of my career, it's like a miracle, because come in very, very sick people who've gone through everything, and 90% of them just go home healthy. It is an amazing way to treat disease. The sad part of it is that these drugs cost a tremendous amount of money today. They can cost anywhere between $500,000 to $1.5 million, and I think the latest drug that was approved is around $3 million per patient, which is a tragedy. In the beginning, our company, what it did was provide these drugs to companies, hospitals who were developing these drugs. And at some point, we sold centralized kind of factories, the way traditional biotech worked. We sold it to Catalan, and we took that money and we built out what we have today, are mobile units that we place all around the globe that allow us to produce these products in a much more automated manner, low cost, and get them to patients. So I'll stop here, and just to say that thanks to the wonderful help of the Maryland Israel Development Center, we got a nice grant from the Maryland government, and we're collaborating very closely with Johns Hopkins to set up and provide these really important drugs to patients in the Maryland area.
Okay, Carly?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll preface this. I'll also share a little bit of a quick presentation on who Nayax is and a little bit about what we do. I'm actually in our HQ office in Israel right now, so I'll preface that with, I don't know how familiar everyone is with working, in an Israeli environment, but even though my door is closed in my office, there's probably a 50-50 chance someone will still walk in, regardless. And even if I think I locked it, but they'll probably still knock. So I've already tried to shoo a few people away. So let me share my screen real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. All right, so everyone can see this. I should put it in a different mode, but all right, so who is Nayax? So to the side. All right. So Nayax, we have been, we were established in 2005. We have about 800 employees worldwide and 9 offices with 44 distributors. So like Nancy mentioned, I oversee Nayax North America. So we make up about 50% of Nayax's revenue. And we are a licensed payment institute as well as a payment services provider. So basically we're a full spectrum payment platform. So we do everything with the focus on our unattended retailers. So in kind of the most simplest form, you can think of it as, like Nancy mentioned, from that whole process of being able to pay for a snack or a soda from a vending machine, but behind the scenes, the fintech infrastructure is quite complicated. There's a lot of regulation. We have 800 employees, of which about a third of them are all based in R&D. There's mobile app, there is embedded. We make the hardware, as well as give full reporting so that all of our unattended customers, so again, think operators of vending machines, all the way to EV chargers, to unattended kiddie ride and amusement operators, car washes, unattended laundry. So anything where someone wants to be able to take a payment for a service or product without a cashier physically present is kind of what our company is based on. We have around 725,000 active machines, and we accept 80 plus payment methods in 40 currencies globally. And a little bit about what our vision and mission is that we are a leading global end-to-end retail technology platform for unattended, as well as transitioning into attended commerce customers. And our mission at our heart is to simplify commerce and payments for retailers while driving growth, optimizing operations, and enhancing consumer engagement. So my current role is I oversee the entire North America team. So that's sales, that's operations, that's KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer, which is the compliance side of payments, technical support, trying to think what else, finance. And I started my career with Nayax about 9 years ago as the subsidiary CFO. So I came on and did most of the mergers and acquisitions work to start converting back the most profitable distributors globally and make them wholly owned Nayax subsidiary companies. Then I had the opportunity to actually scale and grow our North America operations by taking on ownership of the sales and technical support. And a little bit, just about what, kind of really we strive to do, right? It's really about kind of connecting our consumers, suppliers, and the retailers in between, right? And giving what we call an omni-channel acceptance and consumer engagement platform, right? So that's the integrated POS, which is payment systems. It's combining with loyalty and marketing. It's the cashless payments acceptance. It's all of the logistics behind it, like being able to simplify refunds and provide discounts. As well as really the operational side, which we call telemetry in the software component, right? So it's being able to have accessibility and view your operations that are unattended, right? To be able to see your sales, to be able to see what's selling best, to be able to remotely monitor if you're having an issue at your location. So that's kind of what the entire suite of the Nayax products is about.
Thank you. Jennifer? Sure. You want to unshare your screen?
Yeah.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You should be able to share now, I think, Jennifer.
Okay, so first off, thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm very excited to be speaking with you. I work for Elta North America, as Nancy mentioned, and Elta North America is part of the IAI family, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the US government and is also the largest government contractor in Israel. And we are the sister company of Elta Systems Limited, who designed the Iron Dome radar that protects Israel. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the Iron Dome system. And we are Elta's US division. We are located in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. We've been here since 2011, and our core lines of business are operations, manufacturing, and repair. And although we do provide support for some of the other sister groups that we have at IAI, we primarily focus on radars. And we are a unique company in the fact that we are owned by the Israeli government, but we also have a US government security clearance. And we're the only company in the world that can say that we have both a US government security clearance and we're owned by the Israeli government. So it helps allow us to bring Israeli technology over to the United States to help the US government. We have 4 different core capabilities. We have our land systems capability, and that is primarily used for border control protection. So at our southern border here in the US or various different borders throughout the world, the Elta radars are placed and they're able to see if there's targets. And those targets could be drones, they could be missiles, they could be airplanes, anything that is, sort of mobile, airborne, the radars are able to sense. And we also have our ground vehicles capability, which is our on-the-move technology. And it basically takes our land technology and puts it on moving vehicles. And those vehicles are able to travel up to 50 miles an hour and still be able to see and sense the threats and the targets around them. And additionally, once those threats and those targets are detected, the operator is able to lock in on the target and actually shoot it down. So they're able to shoot down a drone or shoot down a missile. And additionally, we have a new technology that we've added onto that is very useful in on-the-move technology, where we can also take over the actions of a drone. So we're able to sense it, detect it, and then actually control it. And we could, destroy it, we could send it back to where it came from, or we could start making it operate on our side. We also do FMF work, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but the US government provides a lot of financial assistance to the Israeli government. And a lot of those funds have to be spent in US dollars. So those funds are spent here at Elta North America, and then we provide defense capabilities to the Israeli defenses. And then finally, we have airborne, which is utilizing, again, the same radar technology, but instead of it being on a vehicle or on the ground, it's in the air, sensing the targets around it. And all of these radar technologies that we have are very integral in the Iron Dome system. And for those of you guys that maybe are not as familiar with the Iron Dome system, it is a radar sensing system that protects Israel. And it's fairly mobile. The panels are, I think, 2 tons and maybe 12 feet tall. They're quite large. It's what is on this slide right here. And what's happening in the picture sort of on this slide is that a target has been detected, which is a missile from a non-friendly fire. And the radar is able to sense where that missile is going to go in real time. So it's able to determine that this missile is going to go in the middle of the desert. So we don't need to be concerned with shooting it down. Or it's able to say, hey, it's going to potentially hit Tel Aviv. So it then uses another government contractor's missile, but it shoots it up. And then our radar is also on that missile, and real time it's able to detect where that missile is, the faux missile is going to go. And we can decide real time in the air that maybe we thought it was going to hit Tel Aviv, but it's not. It's actually going to go into the water. So we don't need to hit that one, but there's another one in the air that maybe is now a target, and it will change course and actually hit that technology. So if any of you guys are interested in going to YouTube and just Googling Iron Dome, it's pretty incredible to see the videos. So that is what we do here.
Okay. I know that I feel so proud that these are samples of Israeli companies in Maryland. And I just need to mention one more thing. When we bring these outstanding companies to Maryland, they set up offices in Maryland. They hire Maryland people. So we are contributing to the growth and stability of the economy in the state of Maryland. Okay, next question. How and why did you become interested in your chosen field? And I'll ask each of our speakers give a couple minutes about that. And we'll start this time with Jennifer, Carly, and then Barrett.
So there's a lot of people that know exactly what they want to be when they are a child, and they have worked their whole life to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is that they want to do. I was not one of those people. I started college as an art major, and then I changed to elementary education major. I changed to a criminal justice major, and I realized that I had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I went to the college career center, and I said, help. What do I want? Like, I don't want to drop out of college, but I don't know what I want to do. So they offered to give me an aptitude test, and they said it would tell me what I would be good at. So I took the test, and what came out was that finance and accounting was an area of strength for me. So over the summer, I enrolled in an accounting class, and I was hooked. I realized that finance and accounting was for me. I'd always been very good at math, and I'd always loved, money, and it somehow married the two together. So anyway, that's how I ended up finding my career. And then when I entered the accounting workforce, I started out, trying to think of how I want to say this. So I started out, and I was originally in accounting, and then I realized that accounting is very much debits and credits and is very enjoyable and fun, but finance is also enjoyable. And I liked the forecasting because accounting is more real time of what's currently happening, whereas finance is more sort of what's going to happen in the future. So I found that I also liked that, and that's why I went and got my master's degree in finance, so that I was a little bit more well-rounded. But that's how I ended up in the accounting and finance field.
Carly?
Well, I wanted to be a professional snowboarder, but my parents told me I had to go to school first. So I actually went, here's my fun fact, I actually went to college, to university on a surfing scholarship. So I was a competitive surfer. I grew up in San Diego, and I realized, though, I needed to be able to have a job when I graduated that would translate to a skill that actually could make money. And I don't know how familiar anyone is with the University of California school systems, but most of the degrees end up being very theoretical. So I knew that an economics degree wasn't going to really get me very far. So I also had a accounting minor, and decided I would just get a CPA degree as well, and kind of see where life twisted and turned. So I did. I entered into public accounting, which I did for literally to the day that I had enough credits to become a CPA. God bless those that really enjoy being in public accounting, but it was not for me. And then from there, kind of took, where twists and turns of careers go. So I ended up in mergers and acquisitions, which I loved, and now actually realize that what I really love is I love to sell things that I believe in. So it's kind of, I've been lucky that, to work in a fintech industry and to work in payments, it marries having a finance background very well. I think I would highly recommend, and I guess it's kind of the spoiler, so I'll keep it to, one of the other questions, right? When words for our younger generations, but, I definitely appreciate having a finance background and having the opportunity, to have where my career has taken me.
Barrett?
So, yes, I always wanted to do this. I was always like the worst science nerd in the class. All I wanted to do was study physics and mathematics and biology. And my greatest dilemma in life was which engineering I preferred. And that's what I love about what I do, because it combines all of it: software, hardware, fluid mechanics, biology, genetics, everything that's interesting in you. And I just love every moment of it. And I learn a lot every day. And as a little kid, I mean, my father was a ship's engineer. My mother was an X-ray technician. So no more wonder I turned out to be a biomedical engineer. But I just love all of it, and always have, and always dreamt of building clever machines that would make people healthy.
Great. First of all, great insights into companies you work with and who you are as women. And I'm, first of all, just enjoying this because I know you all just from your simple professional levels, who you are, what company you work for. So this, for me, this is a treat too. So let's go on to the next question. What path did you take to reach your current position? What challenges, if any, did you need to overcome? What were some of your advantages? What were some of your assets? And what advantages do you think you had as a woman? I know that's a lot, but you kind of need to answer that in 2 minutes. And this time we'll start with Carly, then Vered, and then Jennifer.
You know, life is funny, right? So I think the one skill in my case that I think has really, you know, led me to be most successful is my belief that everyone has to do something a first time. You know, there's a first time to do everything. And if someone can do it, I can probably figure it out as well, right? So I think, you know, there's a confidence sometimes that come and with being able to believe in yourself that you have the network, you have the ability to figure something out, even if you haven't done it. So I think from a skill perspective, I think that's actually probably the strongest asset that has led me to become successful is the ability of just having the network and confidence to figure it out. You know, as you know, coming from a woman, I guess advantages. You know, I'm sure Jennifer and Vera, you both are, I'm going to make a guess, in very male dominated industries too. Fintech is very male dominated as well. It's kind of funny though. I don't necessarily notice it or not as much anymore. Maybe I'm a bit used to it. And again, maybe that kind of is coming back to some, you know, kind of just inherited confidence of figuring things out. Sometimes I think maybe I should be more cognizant of it or doubt it, you know, or have had more doubt as being a woman, and especially now being a woman executive. I was when Nayax went public on the first time I was 37, so I just turned 40. So you know, being you know, still in my 30s and a woman, I maybe I should have been more doubtful than I was, but I don't know. I guess I just, you know, I wasn't. So I think I do attribute a lot of that to my parents, who always, you know, really instilled that really anything that I wanted to do and could do, you know, I was capable of, as long as, like, you know, you just work hard. And I will say, I am confident in the fact that I know if I need to get something done, I will do whatever it takes to figure it out. So hard work has always, you know, at the end of the day, if you want it bad enough, I will figure out how to get it done and put the work in, and hopefully make it seem relatively easy, even if behind the scenes, you know, I've been up for 48 hours trying to figure it out. So I hope that kind of answered some of the questions, Nancy. There's a lot of them there. So.
Okay, interesting, terrific. Vered?
So I, you know, was working in a lab and university academic, and honestly never planned to be an entrepreneur. And then I had my first son, who's now 28 years old. And I really hated leaving him, going to work. So I had this false understanding that if I'll be an entrepreneur, nobody will tell me when to go home from work. And I could be with my son. I also have a daughter later on. So I decided I'd have my own company so I could be at home with my baby. And so, as Carly says, she kind of thanks her parents, I thank my kids. because I've had over, I don't know, 10 companies, and I really didn't know what I was going into. And unfortunately, I'm not a very confident person. I'm pretty neurotic and insecure. And but I think the same compassion and love that I have for my kids, I feel it for other people's kids. I really care about what I do, and I really do. Every time I hear of a child that unnecessarily dies from cancer, it kills me. And so I think my strengths as a woman is the mother part, and being a mother and understanding that really strong force where you want to protect and you want to give, whether it's for the patients or your employees or your shareholders and or whoever. And so I think what made me take this path of having my own companies and making them grow is that kind of motherly love. And the hardships have been endless and still are. Because it's just very difficult to bring drugs to market, to make them lower cost, to build a new industry into an existing one. But I also know that a mother's love is endless. Nothing will stop. And I think that makes me very strong in a world that sometimes can be very difficult, but still remain very vulnerable and me and not lose that who I am in the middle of all.
Jennifer?
So I started out at the bottom of a company, and I started out as a file clerk, and I worked my way up within organizations, and I primarily did it by watching successful and often unsuccessful leaders and colleagues that were around me, and taking note of the type of colleagues and leaders that I wanted to be, and also the type of a colleague and a leader that I did not want to be. Sometimes watching what people do and thinking that is not the type of person that I want to be is equally as valuable as watching those around you that are successful. And I was very lucky early on to have some CFOs and CEOs that took me under their wing, mentored me, taught me, challenged me, and most importantly, believed in me. And I'm in one of my strongest assets is probably believing that there's nothing that I can't accomplish if I work hard enough and if I try hard enough, kind of like Harley said, that there's nothing that can't be achieved. And just having that belief, in yourself, I think is really important. And as I've grown in my career, as was previously mentioned, the number of female peers that are in the room definitely decreases as you move up within organizations. In most meetings, I'm the only female in the room, and especially the ones with the Israeli companies. I've found that there are a few, executive leaders at Israeli companies. The one exception being my counterpart over in Israel, the CFO of Elta Systems is a female, but otherwise there really aren't any females that sit in the room. And I find that being a female can actually be an asset often, because they bring unique perspectives to the table. So a lot of females are more collaborative, and I find that collaborating typically leads to a better outcome. So even though, it can sometimes be interesting, and as was previously mentioned, I don't necessarily even think about it most of the time, but every once in a while I'll be sitting in a room and there's like 30 people in it, and we're, debating over something, and I look around, and that's usually the moment that it dawns on me that I'm the only female in here. And, it doesn't bother me, it doesn't intimidate me, but it is kind of interesting when those few moments that you do realize that you're the only female there, and you're like, interesting. And, so it seems to be an asset, though. I haven't found it to be a detriment.
Hey, well, thank you all for your candor and decisions you made for your companies, for yourself, for your families. I think it's so important. So let's go to the next question because we want to kind of keep within the time frame, which you all are doing a terrific job, and I appreciate it. Why don't you describe your leadership style? And listen to the sub-questions. Are there differences between women and men's leadership styles? And are there differences between American and Israeli women? So this time we're going to start off with Vered and then Jennifer, then Carly.
So, I think there's a difference. Sometimes when people say leadership, there's a difference between management and leadership. I am not such a good manager, unfortunately. But I make sure I have next to me people who are really good at it, right? But I do think I'm a good leader because I think I'm very candid and people feel that. And I hope they find that inspiring. And they also know that my intentions are always very candid. So I just try to be very authentic, which is difficult because I'm glad to hear that you're not intimidated, but I'm intimidated a lot of times. And when I get intimidated, I don't express myself. I don't behave as I would naturally, at home with my kids or my friends. And I start putting on kind of an armor, right? Because I am intimidated. And it's taken me a lot of years to understand that I don't need that armor. I am who I am, and it's okay. I'm not perfect in everything, and I try to be very acceptive and lead by example. And I would not say I'm not demanding, but I'm demanding in a very nice way. Okay? That I really need you to help me with this. And not you have to do this. Is there a difference between women and men? I've seen women that manage more in a manly style, and I've seen women that manage in a more womanly style, and I've seen men who are more kind of what we call maybe more emotional or less detached. So I think it's very much a personality characteristic more than a woman-man. I do think that there's maybe not enough women in leadership models because I think it's always a benefit to have a more balanced kind of environment. And as Jennifer said, there's something about women that sometimes is less competitive, not every woman, but many of them, that is more collaborative. As I said, my management style, you can really summarize it as here comes mommy. She's going to take care of us. She's going to help us. And, and if we're bad, she's going to scold us, but she'll forgive us. Just to summarize between Israeli and US, just to give that point, there's a huge difference. And I think it's really about, I somehow feel that Israeli take like a more military approach, but maybe it's part of the kind of society and upbringing. Sorry, I'm too long.
Jennifer?
So I would describe my leadership style as someone that leads by example. Since I've had roles within almost every level of organizations, I think that gives me a unique ability to better relate and lead those around me. I think that each person's leadership style is different. I do not think that there is a female way and a male way. I think that there is a individual way. However, I have noticed, as I mentioned before, that women are often more collaborative and they want to involve those around them and try to take the visions and plans of others and incorporate that into what they're doing, making those around them feel empowered. That being said, all women definitely are not that way, but I would say that that's something that I've noticed more frequently in women than in men. And I think the biggest difference between Israeli and American leaders has nothing to do with, male and female. It's cultural. As was mentioned, Israelis are more direct. I don't know if I'd call it military, but they're definitely more direct. it is always very clear what they're thinking. In America, culturally, I think that we're more inclined to sort of temper our opinions and our thoughts and our feelings, trying to take other people's thoughts and feelings into consideration. And Israelis just say it how it is. It's not that they're being mean or anything like that, but it's just direct. But that sometimes that can come across as abrasive to Americans. However, I personally enjoy working with Israelis because I always know what they're thinking. I always know, what their stance on things is. Whereas a lot of times when you work with people of different cultures, like I used to work for a company and we did a lot of business in the UK. And the UK, it's the exact opposite of Israel. They will agree with everything that you're saying and they have no intention of doing it. And it was so much more frustrating than, going into a room where you're dealing with, people of that are Israeli and they say that they don't like something. Well, if you know that they don't like something or they know that that they have a different opinion, you can work together to solve it. But when you are in a room and someone completely agrees with everything that's being said, you separate and then they don't do what they agreed to because they just didn't feel they had it inside or they didn't have the heart to tell you that they didn't like it. It's a lot more difficult. So that's sort of my take on leadership and the different styles and the cultures.
Carly?
I'm going to start off with the Israeli-American part. I can say I don't know if I will ever be able, I joke around, to going back to working for a non-Israeli company. I love it. It is, I feel like it's like brought out like something, I don't know, it's you can kind of say what it's more collaborative. You can say what you want to say. You don't have to like hold back. It can come across, I think, sometimes, and I got used to it as being, you have to really push your projects and become more, but it's so passionate. So sometimes I do feel like, I have to almost like transition. My mornings are usually spent with Israel, and then my afternoons, I'm focusing more on my US customers and kind of like refine almost like as the day goes on, from my pushing my projects with my Israel colleagues to then, transitioning to the American interactions. But I personally can say I love I love my colleagues, and I really love working for Nayax as an Israeli company. I'm fortunate to have a lot of women colleagues at Nayax. So of 10 of us, C-level, half of us are women. And so, actually in, so the fintech space, a lot of times, usually when I'm especially at conferences in the US, it's a good chance that I'm the only woman, but actually in Nayax, we're about 50-50, which is pretty great. And I feel like very collaborative, build each other up, have this very tight knit atmosphere. And most of us have been with the company for a while too, and have kind of been brought up. And a lot of that is, of course, from our founder and our chairman, who really has fostered the ability of retaining employees. So that is something that's very important to me with my organization that I run with North America, is ensuring that people feel supported as I have felt supported, that I am able to promote within. I'm a very hands-on manager. I do not consider myself, and I think my team would agree, I'm not a micromanager. So I do firmly believe in, I'm not going to ask you if things are done. It's very clear what deadlines are. If you need help, you need to come to me. But I also will say, I probably behind the scenes want to know how every single thing is done. And it's not a lack of trust. It's just my own kind of need to understand how things are working. So I'm quite hands-on, but also would say quite trustworthy. So as manager, hopefully my team would say the same.
Well, I'm delighted you all focused a little bit about the cultural differences between Israelis and Americans, because we at the Maryland Israel Development Center spend a lot of time, especially with companies, American companies that have never worked with Israel. And that's some of the things we do to help explain some of the cultural differences. One of the things I didn't mention is we represent the United States by National Research and Development, which is a huge organization with Israel. We encourage collaborations between Israeli and Maryland companies. And this past year, we have two a Maryland company and an Israeli company working together on a fascinating project And there's a difference, and the U.S. company is traveling over to Israel so they can get to know them better, to understand how they can collaborate and work together. Bottom line is, it's an exciting project. We have 2 pharmaceutical companies, one Israeli and one Maryland, and they together, with the support of $1 million from the U.S. government and the Israel government, and we help them, they are going to be working together on creating a machine that can take, can create and make on the spot, like in, unfortunately, war zones, hurricanes, tornadoes, pharmaceuticals right on the spot. So we spend a lot of time, as I said, helping U.S. companies understand how Israeli companies work and vice versa. So the final question, and we are running perfectly on time, which will allow us for plenty of questions. The final question that we want to ask our panelists, and we'll start with Jennifer, then Carly, then Vered. What advice can we give our daughters and granddaughters as they embark on their careers? So let's start with Jennifer.
I think confidence is key. I think that females need to believe that they can accomplish their goals. I've seen a number of female friends over the years limit their goals because they didn't believe in themselves. They didn't think they were smart enough or educated enough, or even because they were female. I started out at the same level with people at work, and I far surpassed them. It doesn't mean that, they aren't happy where they are within their role, but they didn't stay where they were because they wanted to stay there. They stayed there because they didn't think that they could move up. They saw that all the executives or all the leaders or all the managers were all men. So I think that believing in yourself and finding mentors that believe in you, that will help you professionally and personally grow, is definitely very important. I have, as I mentioned, still have mentors to this day that I look for, their opinions, their advice. And I'd also say to, the next generation to venture outside their comfort zone. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Know your strengths and your weaknesses and use both of them to your advantage. And I really can't wait to see what the next generation of girls and women are gonna do. I think they're gonna take over and take on the world.
So I have a 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. So, so this definitely, hits close to home. I hope first and foremost that I'm leading by example. I think it's really hard to be, no matter which way. I think you have guilt, right? You're a working mom. You have guilt that you're not with your kids all the time there. And, made me laugh when you said about being an entrepreneur, because I'm like, yes, I'm sure that really eased up your workload. But it also does give some flexibility, right? So I was in my late 30s when I had my girls, and it's interesting, right? And in some ways, it has been easier being a woman executive that's had children, because again, it gives me that flexibility, in kind of like Vera, to your point of being able to build my schedule a bit, but at the same time, it's always on my shoulders too. So what I'm thinking about, I guess the advice to give my girls, I hope that they see me and they feel that they see that their mom made a choice to do whatever they want. I was very conscious of not wanting to be dependent on anyone ever, and being able to control my own destiny, for good or for bad, right? I wanted to control my own destiny. With that said, I will also say I have the most amazing husband ever, who actually works also for Nayax. So indirectly, my poor husband actually has to also report. He doesn't report up to me, but I mean, I guess he does work for me. So I hope that is also showing my girls, right, that make good choices. If you choose to get married and you choose to have children, pick people that are going to support you. Pick a good support system when you can. And I hope that they, just know that they're loved and they're supported with what they want to do, which hopefully is to still go down an engineering or finance path, but I'll let them make their own choices. Hopefully. So.
Okay, Vered, I see you smiling. What else do you want to contribute to this?
So, as I said, my kids are older. The son 28, my daughter's 21. And I also have a whole bunch of, when my kids were younger, I would always go to the school on Tuesdays and not work to teach science. Because it was very important for me that kids love science. So my kids hate science. They love art. That's okay. but all their friends love science, which is also good. So I always get a chance to talk to them, and they're always coming and kind of talking to me. And what I always tell, women, younger ladies, girls, I mean, the world has challenges, right? It's not always going in the way we could. There's a lot of problems out there. It is obvious that men, and a lot of the world is led today by men. To me, it seems quite obvious they need help. And that's what I tell them. Look, a lot of times you see men trying to run things. It is obvious they could use a little bit of help. So even though raising kids is the most fun thing and wonderful, and I really love it more than anything else, and spending time with family and taking care of your family, the world really needs us, and we should make an effort to help and do good things and make it a better world for our children, for our grandchildren. That's kind of our responsibility as women, as Jewish women, but not only. It's everybody's responsibility, but I think we have so much to give, and that's what I tell my daughter and her friends. There's a lot there that you can give.
Okay, this officially ends the Q&A questions. I just want to say that I am feeling a tremendous sense of pride and knowing these women and they do in the companies they do, and know that what we do at the Maryland Israel Development Center gives us greater insight in helping the world become a better place, because we scores and scores of companies who are doing things in the field of finance, in the areas of security, in the areas of medicine. So it's with great pride that I thank each of you for being a part of today's panel. I really, truly hope the Federation of Jewish Women's Organizations in Maryland feels the same way. And I am now delighted to turn it over to Cece, Ron, the president, for any questions and answers.
Well, as Shula said, you ladies take my breath away. We feel your passion. We are inspired. And thank you for all that you do and for setting an example for us and for our next generation. So I feel that you have answered many questions that have come through the chat room. I do have a few additional ones. I'm going to ask each one of you a question, and then we have a few for all, time permitting. Vered, what institutions are using your technology and therapies besides Johns Hopkins?
We collaborate with UC Davis. We work with Bambino Gesù, which is the largest children's hospital in Europe, the Children's Hospital of Madrid, hospitals in Slovenia, institutes in Korea, which I can't even pronounce their name. And we work with hospitals, Lu Dao Pei in Beijing. These are the hospitals in Israel, of course. So we work with a lot of academic kind of hospital institutes, but our main collaboration and interaction is with companies that are trying to develop these drugs. And these are the ones that we provide the service of trying to make these therapies available at a much lower cost and much more quicker.
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled that I'm from Maryland, so I'm very happy that you are associated with Johns Hopkins for sure. Harriet, I will get to you in a minute. And then Jennifer, can your systems, and I might have missed it and I apologize, but can your systems sense or see human activity, and at what level?
So they're not intended to sense people. They're intended to sense things. So You know, yes, the radars can sense that there is something there, but we're not specifically trying to target people. In most cases, the threats are from, you know, unmanned something, whether it's a drone or whether it's a missile or you know, even a remote vehicle of some sort. That's usually where the threats are that we're seeing. So we specifically don't target humans, but I mean, we do see them on there, on the radars. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And Carly, do you foresee a no cash society in the future worldwide?
That's interesting. So we kind of joke around, right, that our biggest enemy, right, is not you know, well, his enemy or competitor, I should say, is cash, right? So I think consumers are driving how they want to pay and how they're you know, in their purchasing habits. I think as long as a leading cashless provider, we are listening to our consumers and being able to give the same kind of the level of customization that they expect through a digital currency. And I do think we're going to see the consumer trends are starting to reduce the need for cash. So it's kind of a very, you know, roundabout way of saying, yes, I do think that we are going the route of becoming a cash-free society.
Right. I'm sort of a fan of YouTube documentaries and things, and I've been watching Japan and everything. It seems like they do, you know, if from food to a simple drink, it's the card, you know, sensing the machines and sensing the cards. So it's quite fascinating. This question came up several times because we are totally impressed, as I hope you feel. How do you balance your life, your home life, your work life? And I know you have touched on this throughout, but is there any advice? Is there any take-home words?
I can offer a little bit of advice, maybe. So when I was quite young and I was very worried about this because I really wanted to be a good mommy, but I really loved what I did. I remember I went to consult with a very nice family kind of psychologist, and he gave me the best bit of advice, and I shared it, and I'd love to share it at every opportunity. And he said, you know, think of your time with your children, your husband, your family, or other things that are very important to you personally. Think of it as, and you know, you ladies come from financing, think of it as a bank account. And just decide how many hours you want to spend with your kids at every age. And if you fall into debt, remember, you have a debt to make it up. And I would do that. Like some days would be so long, but I would make sure this is my maximum debt. And if I get to the end of the week and I owe my kids 8 hours, I would take the day off and spend and that's where the guilt left, because then I could just be practical and say, okay, it's like, so that's, I think, my balance is balancing it in a, I would say, structured way, not kind of keeping an accounting book of it. And that's made my life very fulfilling and happy with my kids and with my work. And I don't feel I've missed out on either. Just my personal experience.
I appreciate that. And Jennifer and Carly, do you have any additional comments?
Depends what day you're asking me how I'm doing. Yeah. Well, it depends what day you're asking. My latest thing personally, right, is I've tried to get away from doing so much multitasking. I think it ends up diluting the quality sometimes of what you're doing. So, for instance, it's usually like 6 to 8. I know I am trying not to multitask. I have my phone down. I want to be able to spend really quality. Right now, I'd rather spend quality, good quality, distracted time with my girls than a lot of time where I'm kind of not really present. I also will say I mentioned this before, but I'm incredibly lucky. My husband and I really are, it's kind of natural, but we are 50-50 split. My mom actually lives with me. And I feel most importantly, my girls know that they are incredibly loved by their mom, by their dad, by their grandma. They have so much love. They also know that their mom is their mom. And you know, it's changing every day. It's not gonna lie, it's difficult, but I can only speak for myself and say, hopefully though, knowing that I'm doing what I feel is the right thing for my family and giving that role model to them through example, you know, that I'm making sure that we're provided for and controlling our destiny is important.
And Jennifer, any additional?
Yeah, so I'm a full-time single mom of a 7-year-old. His father is not in the helping picture at the moment, so it's definitely challenging. You know, trying to juggle both things, and when he's sick at school and all of those kind of things. But you know, again, same sort of thought process that I had with you know, my career is there's a way to be successful in doing both, and there's nothing that I can't achieve if I want it badly enough. And I want to have a great relationship with my child, and I want to have a great relationship at work with you know, my colleagues and with my work performance. So just trying to find the balance. And some days, as was mentioned, you lean more towards one and you lean more towards the other. But I think it's kind of that way, you know, with life. As long as my son is happy, healthy, safe, and loved, and he knows that I, you know, tuck him in every night, I think we're fine. I think we're good. And, you know, you just do the best that you can.
Mm-hmm. I need to tell you, ladies, this, our honored speakers, one of our participants said, well, would we ask this same question of a male speaker? And my comment back is, if it were me, yes, I would ask the same question. But I also think that it raises some thoughts and facts that I feel this, and I could be wrong, but I think women in general seem to be held at a higher expectation in that we manage a lot, and you ladies are just so incredible in what you do and managing life in general. So I thank you. Now,